Do you guys want to play a guessing game? Do you? Well, before we play the guessing game, here's some information for you. So, stock buyback, also known as a share repurchase, occurs when a company purchases its own outstanding shares from investors, reducing the number of shares available on the open market, aka buying your own shit, okay? And the next thing I'd like you to look at is this, okay? This is a graph. It goes all the way from the 1950s ish till present day, right? And it's a disconnect between productivity, right? And typical workers' compensation. So, how much people get paid and how much they produce, how much tangible value they produce, right? So, don't look at the text. Guess which line is which. Yes, that the lower one is indeed pay. That's right. This one is productivity. So overall, workers generate 238.7% more value, whereas the compensation has gone up 109%, while everything has inflated to the moon. So let's check out this video. This is More Perfect Union, which is a really good channel, and I really recommend you watch this. And it starts off by a interesting sort of questionnaire.
You guys want to play a guessing game? You got snacks. It's cool. Hey, you guys want to play a guessing game? I'm alright. Okay. I wish I had some prizes.
I'm at this strawberry festival in Ohio, and I'm asking a question that most Americans get wrong.
The CEO of Lowe's, you know, the hardware store, how much more do you think he makes compared to the average Lowe's worker who is helping you find the screwdrivers or whatever?
So, what do you think? How much more does the CEO of Lowe's make compared to the average worker? So, average worker is like $15 an hour in the US, right? So, how many times more does the CEO make?
3 times.
3 times more?
3.
Also 3. Okay. How much more do we think the CEO of McDonald's made than his workers last year?
I'm going to say 9.
The CEO of McDonald's made 1,212 times what his
1,212 times. Did you hear that? Look at this kid. The kid is not really, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand, bless his heart.
average worker made. 557 times more, 410 times more than the average Home Depot worker.
Regardless of their politics, there's one thing that most Americans agree on. CEOs make way too much money.
I'm a paycheck to paycheck woman. It's not fair. I'm a laundry lady. I make like
It's not fair. Who gives a shit? Nobody's gonna do anything. Like, you're still buying the crap, okay? You still go to Lowe's, right? Regardless of, you still go to McDonald's. I'm willing to bet, guys, that this lady still goes to McDonald's and is still going to go to McDonald's, guys. Guys, don't go to McDonald's, please. Just don't. It's really bad for you, and you're helping the CEO get, what was it, 1,000 something times the money, which I don't know. It's not my vibe.
less than 15 an hour.
I was a manager at McDonald's.
Okay, so you've seen it from the inside.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But it wasn't always this way. If you go back to even just the mid-1960s, CEOs were making about 20 times as much as their workers. Today, that ratio has exploded to 290 times more. So what happened?
I wonder why. I wonder if corruption is out of control and things that used to be illegal are now legal for some reason.
This is the story of how the wealthy took a weird corporate trick that used to be illegal and used it to supercharge their.
I've seen this video. I've seen it, but you should watch it too. You should watch it too because Perfect Union does a great job. Look at this guy trying to act like he's a human.
Wealth at the expense of their workers, and why this year it could get way worse.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Slap them for good luck.
Felix Allen used to work at Lowe's Home Improvement in New Orleans.
I started at $12 an hour. Straight up, there have been people who were alive, when Martin Luther King Jr. was working on the Poor People's Campaign.
Bro, they lucky. If it was me, I would be fired already for some bullshit reason. So, at least he's got that.
Working at our store, making less than $15 an hour.
Those figures track with what most Lowe's workers make nationwide, about $33,000 a year. The company's CEO made 557 times more in 2023.
And we're going to be great.
One thing that became frustrating pretty quickly was understaffing. Often there were too many customers and not enough people in red vests. It's stressful. It wears on you.
It's not just Lowe's. Workers at Home Depot, CVS, and Starbucks also say that understaffing is endemic nationwide. But all these companies are super profitable. I mean, wouldn't it make sense?
Exactly. Look at that. Record profits year over year, but yet you have to do all the work. They're not going to hire anybody to help you. You have to basically carry it all on you're carrying it on your back. You're carrying it on your back if you work for one of these corporations, okay? And you're being drained for your life force. This is how I see it, okay? Like, the people, the employees, low-level staff is drained for their life force. The most important thing, guys, that you have is your time and your life, and you're giving it away for basically pennies if you look at it, because the currency's not worth anything, and most of it's going to the top people anyway. Okay, so it doesn't really even matter if it's worth anything or not, because you're getting hardly any of it.
For them to just have enough staff scheduled on the floor to help their customers? That's just good business, right? Well, it used to be. Let's rewind back to 1979. That's when Lowe's
The good times, right?
graduated from a single North Carolina hardware store to a nationwide chain with a listing on the New York Stock Exchange. Back then, the CEO of a company like Lowe's basically had three options for what to do with their profits. They could put them back into the business, maybe open some new stores, or invest in some fancy inventory software. They might use some of it to reward all of those new shareholders with a payment called a dividend. Maybe they use it to...
Guys, here's a question for you. When was the last time you walked into like a big corporate chain and were like, oh, wow, they really improved this place since last time I was there. Like, it's really looking much better than before. Because honestly, last time I walked into a corporate chain, it was Costa Coffee, right? And instantly I felt the smell. Like, it smells like fucking shit. It smells like spoiled milk, and just it doesn't feel good to be there. All the furniture is like trash that's been there since basically they opened the place. And it's corporate slop, They designed the layout like a decade ago, and it's expected to basically bring them like quadruple returns. No, that's completely wrong. They expect way more. Basically, they build this deck, right, for servicing customers, but it's not actually designed to be fulfilling for anybody except the pockets of the shareholders, right? So you end up with this system which theoretically works great, like on paper, and the costs are good on their side, but really, like, it's kind of shitty and it's not really enjoyable. And this is kind of the situation where we're at. Like, with the jar here, like, reinvest dividends and workers, right? So yeah, the reinvest jar is hardly getting anything right now, to be honest with you.
profits. They could put them back into the business. Maybe open some...
See, that's the 70s, right? When people actually had respect for each other, it feels like. although I wasn't around, so I can't tell you.
New stores or invest in some fancy inventory software. They might use some of it to reward all of those new shareholders with a payment called a dividend. Maybe they use it to invest in their workers, pay for them to learn a new skill, or at least...
Oh yeah, when's the last time that happened? The last time I got... the last time I got any sort of training on the job was a health and safety training, I think. And it might have been mandatory anyway. So, I don't know. It's not happening lately. Maybe in the 70s it did, but not lately.
Hire enough of them at a high enough wage to help their existing customers. Or maybe they do a little bit of all three. Remember this chart? This is the era that we're talking about.
The gap between the average big company CEO
Yeah, the good times when all the nostalgia videos were made that we so much enjoy now.
and their typical worker was about 25-1.
Corporations were largely reinvesting in their innovation process, and in some cases, because of strong unions, paying their workers living wages.
But then something shifted in American corporate culture. It would eventually lead to the explosion of CEO pay that we've seen since then. It was a complete revolution in the way American companies were run. There's a scene in the 1991 Danny DeVito movie, Other People's Money, that actually does a pretty good job showing this new way of thinking.
And you know, the worst thing is that this is like a role model type figure. Like, screwing everybody is a virtue nowadays. And it's, in my opinion, is because of this portrayal, kind of. Like, this is like the boss man, isn't it? He's somebody you look up to for some reason. Maybe it's because he has a lot of money. Yeah. I don't really think he's very cool, but I don't know. In the 1990s, I guess it was cool. And would you look at that? It's another giant corporation producing this, Warner Bros.
Make the stockholders richer. Are you going to liquidate New England Wire and Cable? And if so, what about the people who work here?
Danny DeVito plays a corporate raider who is trying to convince the shareholders of a small New England cable company to sell him their shares so that they can cash out when he liquidates the company.
You invested in a business.
Okay, we get the idea. Corporate raider screws everybody, cashes out big. But let's get to the juice here, because you know what? The share buybacks, this is what I was talking about. The share buyback, stock buyback, also known as share repurchase, that shit used to be illegal. That shit used to be considered a crime, okay? And now it's completely legal. Guys, crime is legal now, okay? If you want to rob people, you can do it. You can rob stores if it's $1,000 or less. You can do shit that used to be illegal in the corporate world that screws everybody and ultimately destroys society. It destroys society, okay? This is destroying society. Let's
always put their interest above everybody else's. Instead of paying
how
CEOs a
surprising.
salary in cash like workers at the rest of the company, start paying them in company stock. The idea spread like wildfire.
Well, if one CEO starts to be paid in this new structure and you see their compensation go up very rapidly, that's going to spread very quickly across the entire ecosystem. It's like keeping up with the Joneses.
Something else happened when CEOs started getting paid in company stock, and it goes a long way towards explaining why companies like Lowe's won't schedule enough workers to help customers, or pay their employees like Felix a living wage. Remember those 3 options that Lowe's and other companies used to have for what to do with their profits? Well, in 1982, right before CEO pay started to really take off, they added a 4th option: buying shares of the company's stock. Here's how it works. Let's say each share of Lowe's stock sells for $100 on the open market. Then the CEO of Lowe's decides to use some of the company's profits to buy back some of those shares. Now, all of a sudden, with fewer shares remaining, each share is worth a bunch more. Ta-da! If this is reading to you like some kind of scammy corporate magic trick, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. And completely legal. Once again, completely legal. Totally not some kind of scam which results in elevated stock prices and a record high overall stock market. No, why would you say that? Anyway, guys, leave a like, subscribe. I need help. Um Go watch this video, Perfect Union, more Perfect Union, right? 1 million views already. Lots of people need to hear about this, and lots of people are conscious of this already. Please go finish watching the video. I'm only 30. Hogheads S says, I'm only 33, but every job I've ever had shrinking staff every single year, guys. Okay? So this guy he's living this, okay? People would leave and they just never replace them. They just want to get the same work done with fewer bodies. Notice he's saying bodies. Like, this man knows, okay? Okay, Hartley Sand says it used to be a literal crime. Exactly. It used to be a literal crime. And now it's just business as usual. Usual, okay? Okay. So another guy in his 30s, I'm 34 years old and I work 2 jobs. It still isn't enough to stay above water. One job wants me to learn more equipment, but not pay me more for each equipment. It's just becoming more difficult to live. And it's not now just survival. Okay? So your living wage is now a survival wage, which isn't even good enough because you have to have 2 jobs. That doesn't sound very cool to me. And it sounds like we have to be proactive and step up and do some shit about it, okay? Anyways, I'm gonna leave that there.